Hello there everyone, this is me Ethan here and welcome back to another film review. And on Monday night I got to go see an early screening of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This movie releases this Friday and I'm very excited to talk about it, but before I do I have to share my experience with this early screening. This was one of the best early screeners I've been to so far. Outside of the theater they had a ton of apocalyptic wasteland Mad Max vehicles that were very detailed, and there was even a costume contest before the movie, but there were a lot of cool costumes, a lot of cool cars, and it was a very fun experience. And as always, this is of course a franchise, so I do have to share my history with it. I didn't watch Fury Road until late last year, and I didn't really cling on to it that much. I enjoyed the action, I enjoyed the spectacle, but I didn't really attach to the characters that much. Now, about 2 months ago, I watched it in the theater with a friend for this very limited thing that Cinemark was doing where like every day they re-released the Mad Max films in the theater. It wasn't in IMAX, but they had Mad Max, Road Warrior, Beyond Thunderdome, and then Fury Road. I only saw Fury Road, and it wasn't until yesterday that I saw the first Mad Max on Peacock. Wasn't really a big fan of it. But anyway, I enjoyed Fury Road a lot more in the theater. I think I was able to focus on it a little bit better, but I still didn't totally cling to the characters that much. There wasn't much to them in my opinion. It felt just like a lot of action for the sake of action, but it was really, really good action. It's one major road trip movie. I love road trip movies. It's just a massive chase sequence. It's incredible. You all know the deal. It's been almost 9 years since it came out, but with Furiosa here, we have a prequel, and it's pretty dang good. It stars Anya Taylor-Joy as a young Furiosa who we saw played by Charlize Theron in Mad Max Fury Road, and I thought Anya Taylor-Joy did a great job in this. You don't really see her until around 45 minutes into the movie, because those first 45 minutes are dedicated to a much younger Furiosa who I don't know the child star, I don't know her name, but she did a fantastic job, and she was a really good casting too. She looked a lot like a young Anya Taylor-Joy, maybe not a lot like a young Charlize Theron, but whatever. She did a really great job. She gets to really take on all the baggage that Anya Taylor-Joy has to eventually carry, and same with Charlize Theron. All three of these actresses have done a great job portraying this character, and I especially like that main first act with that young Furiosa, and it was probably my favorite act of the movie. And I should mention, and this has been tossed around in a ton of news articles, Anya Taylor-Joy only has about 30 lines of dialogue in this film, and she's still really impressive in it. She has the physicality for this character, and I think she still does a great job, even though she speaks so little. The younger actor for Furiosa, she gets to speak a lot more, but Anya Taylor-Joy doesn't have a lot of speaking in this, similar to Tom Hardy's character in Fury Road, which I really enjoy. I think you don't always have to have that much dialogue for a movie like this, and it totally worked for me. This story is largely a revenge quest, which I always love to watch. I think it's very fun if you can see a backstory for a character, understand how they were hurt, and then they want to get revenge on this person, and you understand why, and you're able to root for them pretty easily, and that's what I really, really liked about Furiosa compared to Mad Max Fury Road. I think Fury Road has the better action sequences. This one has a far better story to it. It feels like it actually has a story to it, and it makes Fury Road better for me. And this is called Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, because it truly is a saga. It spans about maybe 15, 16 years total, and it has a multi-act structure. It has like 5 or 6 different chapters to it, which I always love. I love a good prequel, I love a good origin story, I love a good revenge story, and I love a multi-act structure, so all of that totally worked for me. However, since it does span a long amount of time, it is a very long movie. It runs at just about 2.5 hours, and I think you do feel the length. It is split up into chapters, so you know how far you're progressing throughout the story if you've seen the trailer a couple of times, but I wasn't hurt by the runtime. It didn't hurt my viewing, but I did feel it. Not in a negative way, but I did feel its length. And I honestly think my only editing issue is that there were a lot of like weird transitions and fade to black moments, which I understand if you're spanning across so much time in one movie, it's something you kind of have to do. There's not always an easy way to transition that. It just felt a little bit awkward, and I feel it kind of lost some of the tension with the previous scene transitioning to the next one. And of course, we cannot forget our villain for this movie, Dementis, played by Chris Hemsworth, who does an incredible job. I think this is one of his best performances. It's so outlandish. I wouldn't call it cartoonish and out of place, but he is a very stupid villain, but he's also very menacing. He's not the most intelligent, he's not the most wise, but he has an extremely demanding screen presence from the moment you meet him all the way until the end of the movie. And this is obviously a spoiler-free review, but where his character ends up by the end of the movie just blew me away, and I was totally shocked by it. We also still get Immortan Joe in here. We see him in the trailer. It's obviously going to lead into Mad Max Fury Road at some point, right? But Immortan Joe doesn't undermine Dementis. I think he's still a good villain for Fury Road. I think it still shows where he's leading into, going into Fury Road, but Dementis is absolutely our main villain. He doesn't overshadow Immortan Joe, and Immortan Joe doesn't overshadow Dementis. They're both really good villains. Both great performances overall. And obviously, this is a Mad Max movie. You have to talk about the action, and that's probably the standout here if you're not going to talk about the performances. There's not as much action as Fury Road, so you shouldn't expect a second Fury Road. This is a prequel. It's a lot more story-centric. It's trying to say something about a character and where she ends up in that movie. I'd say the action is better in Fury Road, but like I said before, I enjoyed the story a lot more here in Furiosa. So the action is still incredible. The direction from George Miller is outstanding. He knows how to do it and how to make it look awesome. There is a decent bit of visual continuity from here to Fury Road. It's got those bright blues and oranges that are nice and saturated. However, the CGI and green screen is not as good as Fury Road, which is really unfortunate considering it came out almost a decade ago. There were a good handful of moments, they're small moments, but a good handful of moments where I'd noticed some off CGI, or you could tell that some characters were behind a green or blue screen, and it did take me out of it a couple of times. But I was also so immersed in the action that sometimes it just escapes your brain, and all the amazing stunts and sequences just sort of take hold of you with the loud roar of the engines and all that. So it's not the biggest deal to me ever, but it is a downgrade from Fury Road. And speaking of the roar of the engines, it sounds amazing. I got to see this in an IMAX theater. The score, just like Fury Road, sounds incredible. The sound design has a punch. Every punch, gunshot, engine, it all sounds amazing, and you feel it in your bones. It is a full experience that I just ate up. And the thing is, as much as I think the action in Fury Road is still better than Furiosa, the action still stays interesting. It doesn't feel like a copy and paste from 10 years ago. The characters keep it interesting by being creative with how they kill people and how they go about getting from one place to another. And that's what makes George Miller's direction and action and all of it so much fun. And pretty much my only major issue with this movie, aside from green screen and the weird transitions, is I think the third act kind of falls down a cliff, sort of. I loved the entire movie. There's so many great moments, but I feel like really the first act where you have the younger Furiosa is the strongest. I love Anya Taylor-Joy and I love Chris Hemsworth, and they're both really good in those last two acts, but I feel like the first two are much stronger than the last one. Maybe that was just me. I'm curious to know what people think, but that's just my opinion on it. I love the entire movie, but the third act by far felt the weakest. I feel like you should end your movie on a high note, and it kind of just leads into somewhere that I didn't really totally buy into. And I can't say it without spoiling anything. I still enjoyed it. It just wasn't my favorite decision ever. I'm giving Furiosa an 8 out of 10. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is an insane, high-octane adventure and origin story that makes the already great Mad Max Fury Road even better. I was able to get attached to this story thanks to the great performances. The action is still outstanding, even if it isn't always visually perfect. The direction from George Miller once again kicks butt, and I overall had a blast following this mad journey of Furiosa. So what did you think of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga? Let me know any and all opinions down in the comment section below. So if you all enjoyed this review and if you all enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will see you all in the next one. Bye and have a great day.